Hi everyone, welcome. I'm at Scale Rentals currently with Heather Bear, who is a vacation rental industry veteran and supremely committed to the idea of educating new property managers and seasoned property managers and helping them grow their business, scale it efficiently, while also maintaining amazing relationships with their owners. And that's primarily what we're going to talk about today. Heather is also the host of the Vacation Rental Success podcast, which everyone in the know listens to, and it's an amazing podcast. You should definitely tune in. And she's also the co-founder of Vacation Rental Formula, a training institution for those interested in scaling their business. Welcome, Heather. Thank you for making time to speak to us today. I'm sure our viewers would love to hear from you about yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. So I'm a 20-year veteran. That word, veteran. I've been a property manager for 20 years. I owned 7 of my own properties before I got into the property management business. Before that, I ran a holiday company. I was a tour operator in England. Before that, I ran a training company. There was a lot before that as well. I do like to start companies. So at the moment, now I'm no longer a property manager. We're building a training platform, which we call the Vacation Rental Formula Business School, where we want to create the best education material that there is available for upcoming property managers, people who are interested in starting in this business and doing it right from the start. Because every property manager out there has made mistakes. I mean, I certainly made a lot of mistakes, things that I would never do again if I was starting again. So I want to share that knowledge of 20 years and help people to not make those mistakes that I made.
I mean, we know everybody needs help in the business of short-term rental management, especially if you intend to differentiate yourself from the others and not get lost in the crowd. It's really interesting because this is what you were doing today. You kind of gave us a glimpse into what you plan to do with your training platform in your session today here at Scale Rentals. The theme was how to find owners and keep them. And I found it supremely educational. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your session?
So we all need owners because owners are the lifeblood of our business. And this is what I find that most property managers have most difficulty with. There's a lot of competition out there, and certainly, the competition is coming from the new type of property managers, the co-hosts. So people are going into Airbnb, whereas years ago, if they didn't want to do it themselves, they would come to a property manager. And now they are looking to co-hosts so that they're still remaining on Airbnb, but going away from the traditional property manager role to help them out. What I was talking about this morning was about how to acquire new owners, how to create a platform on your website that makes it really compelling for new owners to come to, so that they're finding the property manager online, they're coming to the website, they're seeing amazing content about how to do the business, how to be a great owner, and then we are able to convert them into our registered clients from there on, because once we've captured them, and that's the hard part, is actually bringing them in to our fold, if you like, and then converting them into really, really happy owners. And when I left the business, we had 2 owners that had been with us for 20 years. And we very rarely lost an owner. We were able to keep them, we nurtured them. And one of the ways we did this was by going after some very specific owner avatars. So I'm sure most people who are doing this business have guest avatars. This is your target market. We also need to remember that all owners come from different backgrounds. So we defined 3 separate avatars. We had an investor, and a lot of investors out there at the moment who really want to be hands-off and have somebody else do the work for them. A lot of these are going to the co-hosts because they're out there looking for investors, but there's no reason why they shouldn't come to a traditional property manager as well. And then the second one is the couple who are perhaps in their boomers. They've owned a family home for many years, and now they need to rent it out to pay taxes or to fund things that they want to do with the property. And so they need a different approach. And then our third one is our involved owner. It's generally a millennial couple who've bought a property. They're investing in it, but they want to get involved. They may even come to the conferences. Come to some of the conferences because they want to learn how to do it really, really well, and they're very hospitality focused. They too need a very different approach. So that's what I was mainly talking about, is setting the avatar before you even start building the compelling part of the website.
In marketing, we use the concept of avatars all the time, but this was an interesting application, an interesting use case, because I hadn't really thought about using avatars for your owners and catering to them according to these avatars that you've made for them. I think one of the consistent concerns among property managers is finding these owners. And you talked briefly about, in your presentation, about creating landing pages for each of these avatars. Of course, the topic is very comprehensive, and each of the avatars requires its own set of rules and information so that they might find you. But maybe you could give us an example of the kind of information one could include for an avatar, for example, the millennial couple who's way more involved and more hands-on, and what they need from the property managers. I would love to hear what tips you have for our listeners.
This is my favorite avatar. And we had a lot of these within our company, and they love to be involved, they love hospitality, so they want to learn about the business and how to create the best guest experience. To have owners like that is terrific, because they're not nitpicking about, when you ask them to upgrade an amenity, it's just, well, if you say that we need to get a new coffee maker, then absolutely we're going out to get a new coffee maker. And if you feel that we need to update a bathroom, they're going to go and do that because it adds to the guest experience. So the way to attract them in is to create the kind of content that's going to bring them back to the website to see their specific landing page. So, there's a lot of moving parts here. ChatGPT has made the creation of content so much better, and I use it a lot to build outlines. So what we did was fed in to ChatGPT our avatars in full, and we said, okay, write me some articles that are going to appeal to this group of people. So we created a lead magnet and some articles for the millennial avatar, which are about how to wow your guests. And the article covered things like, appealing to all the five senses and making the first impressions fabulous. So when somebody walks in the door, they are immediately going, oh my gosh, I chose the right place. I walked into my apartment here in Barcelona, and it was up a very dark staircase, and I walked in and it was completely dark, and it was getting late at night, and I'm traveling on my own, and there was not a single light on. So I'm fumbling for light switches, and then I go in, and it's not a welcoming space at all. And that has immediately set my opinion of the place. When we're teaching the millennials how to do this, we're using those sorts of case studies. Now, as property managers, you need to convey that to your new owners as to how you create that wonderful space so that when people walk in the door, they just absolutely love it, because that sets the tone for the rest of the stay. I could go on for days on this topic, but just briefly, so if you're appealing to your investor types, you probably as property manager, you're responsible for making that welcome in place. The owner's not going to have much say in it at all because this owner has given you carte blanche to go and create a great space. So what you do for them is provide them with figures and stats and charts on how their property is likely to perform, because that's what they want to know. So if you imagine that you've got all these figures and charts and how the property is going to perform, and you deliver that to your family home owner avatar, they're not interested in that. They want hand-holding, they want a completely different approach. So this is what, this avatar sets the stage for everything that you do from then on, through onboarding and through retention as well.
You talked about using the avatars and that setting the tone for the rest of the interaction, which of course includes finding these owners, but then also onboarding them effectively, because, like you said during your presentation too, they have all different needs, and therefore their onboarding will have to be different as well. Can you tell us a little bit about what tools property managers have at their disposal that they can use to effectively onboard their owners and maintain and cultivate just like a really great relationship based on their personas?
Absolutely, and we did it with all new owners. We generally knew which avatar they were. I mean, we're getting these 3 avatars because that's who we're focusing on. So after we brought them in, then we find out we ask them, how do you like to communicate? Do you want a Zoom meeting? Do you want a phone call? Do you want email? Do you want WhatsApp? And we don't use WhatsApp much in North America, but text. Would you like to text? And then we sit down with them and discover what is there. How much communication do you want with us? But at the same time, we're creating boundaries in terms of communication as well. We began using text messaging in the company before I sold it. It was hugely popular. We'd never used it before, but not all of our owners were comfortable with it. So we had to find a different method for them. And some just wanted, because they'd been so used to Zoom over the COVID period, they were happy to jump onto Zoom calls. And some of our owners want to see other people in the business. They want to know who they're dealing with and see the faces. So it is all very a personalised approach. We had 180 properties, and we had a personalised approach for every single owner.
That's amazing, and that's the key to retaining owners, keeping churn low. I think there's a lot to learn, and like you mentioned, starting at defining your personas can set the tone for the rest of the interaction and make sure that you build this relationship in the way that you want to. I really enjoyed this session, and thank you so much for making time to speak with us and share more information with our viewers and listeners. Where can our viewers find you and Vacation Rental Formula, and how they can connect with you to help them in the growth of their business?
I love talking to property managers, love helping them not do the mistakes I made. You can contact me at Vacation Rental Formula Business School, and it's vacationrentalformula.com. New website's just upcoming, and we're very excited about it, and really focusing on teaching all these things. So we already have a course on owner acquisition and retention, which is about 3 hours of video content that goes in depth into avatars, landing pages, lead magnets, onboarding, just about everything else. I'm a newcomer to LinkedIn, only about 3 months. I mean, I've been on there for years, but I am on there every day now. So, I mean, if you just look up Heather Bayer on LinkedIn, you will find me.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you are able to connect with Heather soon. Until next time, bye.